They say the wheels of justice turn slowly, but for some, they never turn at all. In America, the land of the free, some are imprisoned not by their crimes, but by their circumstances, their race, their poverty, their silence. Today, we tell the story of two such people. One, a boy from the Bronx. The other, a mother from Texas. Neither of them violent, neither of them proven guilty, but both of them crushed under the weight of a broken system. This is the story of Browder and Melissa Lucio. Two lives stolen, two voices silenced, and two faces of injustice that the world can no longer ignore. Browder was born in 1993 in the Bronx, New York, the fifth of 7 siblings, adopted into a struggling but loving family. He was soft-spoken, a bit shy but bright. Teachers remembered him as respectful. Friends called him quiet and smart. But growing up poor in the Bronx came with challenges. The system watched him closer, then it protected him. On May 15, 2010, everything changed. Caliph was walking home from a party with a friend when they were stopped by police. A man had just reported that his backpack had been stolen. He didn't know who did it, but a few blocks away, Caliph was accused. On the street, with no witnesses, no video, no physical evidence, just a statement. It might have been him. Caliph was arrested on the spot. He was 16 years old. Bail was set at $3,000. His family couldn't afford it. And just like that, Caliph was sent to Rikers Island, one of the most violent jails in America. There, he waited and waited and waited. Caliph would spend 3 years in jail, not convicted of any crime, just waiting for trial. Over 800 days of that time, he was kept in solitary confinement, locked alone in a cell the size of a bathroom for 23 hours a day. No visits, no sunlight, no human contact. He missed his 17th birthday, then his 18th, then his 19th. He endured constant abuse, beatings from guards, attacks from inmates, verbal harassment, and psychological torture. Security footage would later show Caliph being slammed to the ground by a correction officer, then dragged into another room. He wasn't resisting. He wasn't fighting. He was just there. His court date kept getting postponed 31 times. Every time he went to court, he asked to go to trial. Every time, the state wasn't ready. He refused plea deals. He knew he was innocent. Finally, in 2013, after 3 years of imprisonment, including 2 in solitary, the charges were dropped. The accuser had left the country. The case fell apart. No trial, no conviction, no apology. Caliph was released back into the world, a free man, but far from whole. He tried to rebuild. He enrolled in college. He spoke out publicly about his ordeal. He advocated for justice reform. People listened. He was invited to high-level discussions. Jay-Z took interest. A documentary was made about his life. But behind the public attention, Caliph was struggling. The trauma had scarred him deeply. He suffered from depression, paranoia, and anxiety. He had been institutionalized multiple times. He told friends he couldn't sleep. He felt like he was still in a cell. On June 6, 2015, Caliph Browder took his own life by hanging himself with an air conditioner cord in his bedroom. He was just 22 years old. The system had stolen his youth, and ultimately his life. His death shook the country. Politicians spoke his name. The mayor of New York called his case a moral failure. Laws began to shift. But for Caliph, the justice came too late. And while his story sparked reform, others like Melissa Lucio were still fighting for their lives. Melissa Lucio's story begins in the Rio Grande Valley of Texas, a mother of 14 children, a woman whose life had already been filled with trauma, childhood abuse, poverty, addiction, domestic violence. But she loved her children. She was trying to keep her family together, even under impossible circumstances. On February 17, 2007, Melissa's 2-year-old daughter, Mariah, fell down a flight of stairs outside the family's apartment. The toddler had developmental delays and coordination issues, and Melissa said it wasn't the first time she had stumbled. Mariah seemed fine at first, but 2 days later, she stopped breathing. Melissa called 911. The child was pronounced dead at the hospital. Melissa was arrested the same night, before she could grieve, before the autopsy, before any investigation. Police interrogated her for over 5 hours. She was exhausted, grieving, disoriented. She denied harming her daughter more than 100 times. But after hours of pressure and coercion, she said something investigators interpreted as a confession. "I guess I did it." That vague, coerced statement, along with some bruises on Mariah's body, was enough for Texas prosecutors to pursue capital murder charges. Melissa Lucio was tried and convicted in 2008. No forensic expert testified on her behalf. No one explained that Mariah's injuries could be consistent with a fall. The prosecution claimed Melissa beat her daughter to death. She was sentenced to death, the first Hispanic woman ever to receive the death penalty in Texas. For more than a decade, Melissa has sat on death row, but her case has attracted national and international attention. New evidence has emerged. In 2019, a group of forensic experts concluded that Mariah's injuries were consistent with a fall, not abuse. Multiple jurors who convicted Melissa later said they felt misled. They hadn't seen all the evidence. They weren't told about Melissa's history of trauma and coercion. They weren't given a complete picture. In 2022, just days before she was scheduled to be executed, Melissa's case went viral. Celebrities, politicians, and activists rallied in her defense. Over 100 Texas lawmakers from both parties asked the court to stop the execution. Even some of the original jurors spoke out, and it worked temporarily. The Texas Court of Criminal Appeals granted a stay of execution. Melissa is still alive today, but she remains on death row. Her legal battle continues. The fight for justice is not over. What do these two stories tell us? Kayleigh Browder, Melissa Lucio. Two very different people. One, a teenage boy from the Bronx. The other, a Latina mother in the Rio Grande. Different coasts, different charges, same system. A system that punishes poverty. A system that silences the vulnerable. A system that demands confessions but not truth. A system that locks people away before proving guilt. Kayleigh died without a conviction. Melissa lives with a death sentence she may not deserve. These aren't isolated incidents. Every year, tens of thousands of people in the U.S. are jailed before trial simply because they can't afford bail. Hundreds sit on death row with questionable convictions. Children are thrown into adult jails. Mothers are judged before they are heard. The question isn't how these cases happen. It's why we let them. Kayleigh's story taught us the danger of ignoring due process. Melissa's story warns us about the irreversible consequences of getting it wrong. Justice isn't about punishment. It's about truth. And until we build a system that values truth over speed and people over politics, there will be more Kayleighs, more Melissas, more tragedies we only recognize when it's too late. Their stories are not over, because now you've heard them. What will you do with that truth? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content like this.